Look here. Even though many frame this slide to the 5th round as disrespect, the number itself points to God's grace covering his journey, turning what looked like sabotage into a setup. In other words, the 5th round wasn't failure, it was favor. Y'all better shout right now. Then what I want, I've been wanting to do this, but it wasn't the perfect time. But now it is because it's God's timing. This the perfect time because it's God's time. He don't like quarterback with personality. Yeah, you right, because he ain't like Baker Mayfield neither. He ain't like Baker Mayfield neither. But this right here, these the key numbers and their biblical meanings. We gonna look at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9. Number 1, unity in God represents the oneness of God, symbol of primacy and singular power. Let me read it again. 1, unity in God. I know y'all laughing at me. Let me start over. Unity in God. Number 1, unity in God represents the oneness of God, symbol of primacy and singular power. 2, witness and division. 2 witnesses establish truth also can represent division or contrast, light, dark, good, evil. 3, divine completeness and the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Jesus rose on the 3rd day. Often signifies wholeness in God's plan. 4, earth and creation. 4 corners of the earth. 4 seasons. 4 winds. 4 living creatures in Revelation. Then let's jump to 9. Divine fatality and fruit of the Spirit. 9 fruits of the Spirit. Christ died at the 9th hour. Symbol of fatality and fullness. Hopefully I said that word right. Let me see. Finality. There it is right there. Finality. Shedeur was what? Pick 144. The meaning of 144 in the Bible. Governmental perfection. 144 equals 12 times 12. Since 12 represents God's government, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 apostles, multiplying it by itself symbolizes the fullness of divine authority and structure. Let me say it again. The meaning of 144 in the Bible, governmental perfection. 144 equals 12 times 12. Since 12 represents God's government, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 apostles, multiplying it by itself symbolizes the fullness of divine authority and structure. The New Jerusalem. Revelation 21:17 describes the wall of the New Jerusalem measured at 144 cubits. This measurement symbolizes perfection, order, and security in God's eternal kingdom. Connected to the 144,000. Revelation 7:14 and 14:1 mention 144,000 sealed servants of God, 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. You better thank God right now. The 144,000 represent a complete, consecrated group of God's people chosen for a special purpose in the end times. Some scholars see this number symbolically representing a whole faithful body of believers, while others see it as literally. Symbol of completeness. 144 equals 12 times 12 also echoes Old Covenant. 12 tribes plus New Covenant, 12 apostles equals God's people fully united. What we've been doing? We've been fully united behind 12. In this way, 144 can mean the total completeness of God's family across time. Look here. Look here now. Now look, I said, now explain to me how Shedeur Sanders is connected. Drafted 5th round pick, 144, and wearing jersey number 12. Now I wrote this months ago. This ain't nothing new. I've been had this months ago. It's just one time to do it. Listen to this. Draft pick 144. We just read it. 144 equals 12 times 12 in the Bible. 144 represents governmental protection, divine order, and fullness of God's people. Being picked 144th overall can be seen as prophetic stamp. His career isn't just about football. It ties to God's order and authority being revealed through him. What have I told y'all? 12 were chosen. 12 were chosen. Connection to 144,000. Revelation speaks of 144,000 sealed servants of God, marked and set apart for a special purpose. Shedeur being picked 144 can symbolize being sealed or chosen for a high calling beyond what the NFL establishment expected. I'm telling you right now. What my dad is like? Picked out to be picked on. Picked out to be picked. Let me get my close up. Picked out to be picked on. I'm telling you right now. In every Christian life, there is a few high mountains to climb. In every Christian life, there is a few deep valleys to tide. In every Christian life, there is a few trials and tribulations. In every Christian life, there is a few hard decisions to make. There will be times when you will be standing face to face with things you really love in the flesh. Then you are going to have to choose between that and God. Let me get back to it. I'm telling you, picked out to be picked on. Number 2, round number 5, grace. 5 equals grace. In biblical numerology, 5 represents God's grace and goodness. Even though many frame this slide to the 5th round as disrespect, the number itself points to God's grace covering his journey. Turning what looked like sabotage into setup. It was months ago. We weren't even talking about sabotage when I did this. We weren't even talking about that. Look here. Even though many frame this slide to the 5th round as disrespect, the number itself points to God's grace covering his journey. Turning what looked like sabotage into a setup. In other words, the 5th round wasn't failure, it was favor. Y'all better shout right now. Y'all better shout right now. In other words, the 5th round wasn't failure, it was favor. That God's timing is the perfect timing. It's Dylan, that's the only timing I'm waiting on. Y'all better shout right now. Jersey number 12. 12 equals divine government and authority. 12 tribes of Israel, 12 apostles, 12 gates in New Jerusalem. His jersey number symbolizes leadership, divine authority, and being the cornerstone of God's team. What is the cornerstone of a team? The quarterback. When combined with the pick 144, 12 times 12, wearing 12 makes it even louder. He's literally carrying 12 on his back, living out the 144 connection every snap. Y'all weren't ready for this. Y'all weren't ready for this. Let's put it all together. Let's put it all together. 5th round, grace. What man meant for humiliation, God flips into favor. Let me read that again. The fifth round, grace. What man meant for humiliation, God flips into favor. Let me read it one more time so I can get it right. Fifth round is grace. What man meant for humiliation, God flips into favor. Pick number 44. 12 times 12. Divine seal. Fullness, government authority. Chosen and set apart. Jersey number 12. He embodies their leadership and perfection daily. This thing hitting, ain't it? This thing hitting on every cylinder. Every point. Translation. Even though Shedeur Sanders' draft story looks like a slide, the numbers line up like prophecy. His entire entry into the NFL carries a biblical numeric signature, grace plus governmental perfection plus divine leadership. It paints the picture of someone who was undervalued by men, but sealed and elevated by God's order. Look here. Even though Shedeur's dress story looks like a slide, the numbers line up like prophecy. His entire entry into the NFL carries a biblical numeric signature, grace plus governmental perfection plus divine leadership. It paints the picture of someone who's undervalued by men. 4.6 million. 4.6 million. But sealed and elevated QB1 by God's order. Who he praised every time in the interview. After every game. He said he had to pray to get rid of it, to be mentally clear, to get rid of the confusion. Come on now. Did what y'all need to say right here. Shedeur's symbolic identity. The grace sealed leader. Type that in the chat. Type this in the chat right here. The grace sealed leader. Y'all need to type that right now. The grace sealed leader. Drafted in grace. 5th round. Chosen at 144. Pick 144. Sealed perfection. And wearing 12. Authority and leadership. That's not random. That's destiny coded in numbers. The grace sealed leader. Look here, man. This was the perfect time to do that one. I've been sitting on that one for so long. But it finally was the right time. It finally became the right time to do that one. That's amazing, boy. That's amazing. That is amazing. Put W and 12 in the chat if you like that. If y'all like that, put W12 in the chat. If you understand it, put W12 in the chat. I'm telling you, this picked out to be picked on. Look here. It seems like that when we turn away from God, People don't have very much to say to us. But just as soon as we try to make an effort for God, seems like everybody get on your case. This lets me know today that every child of God has been picked out to be picked on. Let me read that again. It seems like that when we turn away from God, people don't have very much to say. But when we try to make an effort for God, everybody is on your case. This just lets me know that every child of God has been picked out to be picked on. Hey, that coming straight from the Reverend Eddie James Tomlinson back in the day, man. My mama found my dad's sermons, and I was like, I gotta get that one. I gotta get that one. Straight from there. Look at this. Look how old this is. Y'all can't even see it. Look at that. Look how old that is. Look. If you need a scripture, Job 1:8-12. Let's look at it real quick. Then my last little bit there, I'm getting off. We reading from the New International Version, so y'all can understand it a little better. Job 1:8-12, New International Version. When the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Does Job fear God for nothing? Satan replied, have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands so that his flock and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. The Lord said to Satan, very well then. Everything he has is in your power. But on the man himself, do not lay a finger. Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. The Lord said to Satan, very well then. Everything he has is in your power. But on the man himself, you better not lay a finger on him. You better not lay a finger on him. I'm telling you, that was meant for that. Picked out to be picked on. My savages!
Moneymane in the thing of a T and playing no games. Should I already know my name when I speak in CC Flame. Got my YouTube poppin', man. Like, subscribing, everything in between. You already know. Moneymane. You already know.